Bright lights. So, good morning, guys. We're here to talk about thriving in the workplace. But before we jump into a little bit of a Q&A and working off one another, it's obviously pertinent to introduce ourselves. So, as you've just heard, my name is Rob Taylor. I work for Zoom as the head of new markets for the Australia-New Zealand business. I won't take a poll here of who's heard of Zoom, because I'm sure all of you have in some capacity. Hopefully, all of you have used it in a lot of the capacity over the last 2 years. But it's a lot more than just a platform that you use to collaborate. And we're going to go into the benefits that you can generate from not so much just using Zoom as a platform, but how you can use that to ensure that your organisations are thriving as we come out of the pandemic and move into this new flexible world that we find ourselves. The role in which I play as head of new markets is it's a new direction for Zoom. We're going deep into industry specialisation, where historically we've been more about a technology play. So as we think about which industries where Zoom plays a significant part, with obviously health, and that's the reason why I'm here talking to you today, as well as education. Those two obviously overlap quite considerably. And then on the more corporate side, we've got financial services and retail. Underpinning all of that is what we've framed as the digital native sector. So working with startups that can leverage Zoom technology and effectively white label Zoom technologies into their go-to-market business. So it's a really important space as Zoom becomes a much larger organisation that we can support all businesses, be that startup organisations all the way through to enterprise organisations. I'm going to take a pause there. I'm going to pass to you, Nicki.
Thank you, Rob. I'm Nicki Luther. I am the head of HR for Stryker, Australia and New Zealand. I will do a poll because I feel like I'm at an unfair disadvantage here. Who's heard of Stryker? Oh, there's a few.
Oh, that's good.
There's a few more than I thought. Maybe you're being polite, but for those that don't, we are a leading medical technology organisation. So we do things from hip and knee implants through to, defibrillators that restart your heart, through to, installing entire operating theatres. And we also pride ourselves on our culture that we have, and that's the take that I'll take through today's discussion, different from the technology slant when we talk about thriving.
So why don't we start on that, Nicki, in regards to the culture, but we're here to talk about thriving in the workplace, and we're navigating what was effectively a lockdown situation for what seemed like 12 months of 2021 and moving into this new way of working.
Yeah.
How are you approaching it to ensure that all of your employees can thrive in the way in which they engage and work within Stryker?
Yeah. So for us at Stryker, we have a philosophy in the sense of we look at our employees as people first and employees second, and that comes through to everything we do, from how we hire people. So we look for people for who they are and their natural talents more so than their skills and experience, through to how we care and support people through all their different life stages. So when I heard of this topic and I'm thinking about, what does thriving mean? The first thing that I thought of was that I don't think we can look at people thriving unless they're thriving in all different aspects of their life. So I think, we can have people and they might be, kicking goals in their career, but sometimes it's, at what cost? Are they neglecting things in their personal life? Are they neglecting their health? Are they financially unstable? It's really looking at all those different things. And so when I think about what are some of the things that we do to really support our employees to thrive, there's a couple of really key things that come to mind. The first, as I said, is around the way in which we hire. So the fact that we look for people and we look for their kind of characteristics and their attitude more than their experience, I think really helps in that regard. And I need to shout out to Alyssa from Flight Centre, because we picked up a bunch of Flight Centre employees and they are amazing. And I'm sorry, but I do not want them going back because they're doing really good things. We also have what we call a strengths-based culture, which is based in positive psychology. So we look for what's right about someone as opposed to what's not right about them. And to me, from a thriving perspective, the way that enables someone just to be themselves and to really be more of who they are and to kind of let go of who they're not helps in that regard. And the other thing I think we do really well is we care. So we encourage our managers to really get to know all of their employees as people and to understand the things that are getting in the way of them being able to bring their best self to work. I think we cared a lot before COVID, and I just think that care factor really came to the surface, during those times that we're in lockdown. And everyone was in the same boat. Like, we let people into our lives. People, you saw your family, you saw your pets, you saw your living room, some people's bedrooms, and everyone just became a little bit more, I think, human and real. Our, President Maurice would get in front of, the whole company in his hoodie. I would run, new hire orientations, and my kids would run in, and my kitten would be like on my screen. I wouldn't be able to see. But I just think it was a beautiful thing to actually see more of who people were. And I was thinking, Rob, I should thank you during that time, because one of the things I most appreciated about Zoom was that feature that you could smooth out your skin and you didn't have to wear makeup. Outside of that genius feature, I'm curious to know, what are some of the other ways in which Zoom can enable organisations and their employees to thrive in this new world?
I thought you were going to ask me about other features that you could use.
I'm curious about those too.
The virtual background worked wonders for me, so you couldn't see all the mess that resided behind me when I was on all the calls that were taking place over the last 12, 24 months. Coming back to your question, it was more related to
how Zoom can actually help employees thrive.
Yeah, so, as I sort of shared earlier, everyone's familiar with Zoom as a platform and ensuring that people can stay connected and engaged through times of the lockdown situation that we were in 12 months ago. It's now about ensuring that we can take a lot of those positive learnings from that connection, the collaboration, and embrace those as we move into what is a flexible working environment. And I'll just start with saying that Zoom undertook a global survey about six months ago now, which was a white-collared worker-based survey around what is it that people that were working from a remote perspective through the course of the lockdowns, what was it that they're going to most value as they move into a post-pandemic working environment? And 85% of them said choice. So that was a very clear message that as we move into these new work styles, as Zoom calls them, we need to provide our employees, but also provide our customers with the ability to provide their employees with choice. So choice could be, a work style could be a fully remote work style. It could be hybrid, so a combination of working from home or working from wherever it is that they were during the isolation or lockdown into a fully on-site resource. Now, interestingly, on an internal survey of which Zoom has just over 7,000 employees, only 1% of our staff indicated as a work style that they wanted to be fully based in the office moving into this post-pandemic world. And that's a representation of one, but it's a very significant representation. If you've got the tools and the services in which you can provide your employees choice, then you're going to be providing a work environment that they're going to enjoy working for. And it comes back, you mentioned care. So Zoom's number one value internally is Zoom Cares. So it's making sure that we meet our employees where they are and give them an opportunity to thrive in the best way in which they will thrive. We're very cognizant that people can be as effective, if not more effective, by working from home, as productive working from home as they could have been in the office. Now, with that said, what our employees value is the ability to choose, as I mentioned, but also to have that in-person collaboration from time to time. Whether that is working and socialising with their work colleagues, whether that's setting strategy days and planning days so they can get together and do that. But again, having the choice to do so as opposed to being forced on a Monday to Friday, 5-day basis. So we take the learnings and the insights that we receive internally and obviously apply those internally, but then make sure that we've got the tools to then be able to provide that to the customers in which we serve. And the number one thing that underpins all of that is inclusion. So as we think about hybrid, you've got people working remotely, you've got people working in the office. How do we ensure that the people that are working remotely feel as included into their work style and work environment as those that are in person? And so we're building out technologies to support that. Beyond just video communication, we've got a couple of technologies that have recently been released, one of which is called Smart Gallery. What that allows the end users that are remote to access is anyone that is in the boardroom, if you want to call it that, or the meeting room, has their personal individual box as opposed to them just looking at one table. So you can feel like every individual has their box on that Zoom call and has the name of the person that's talking. So they're just little things that we're looking to implement. And the other one, which we launched today, funnily enough, is live translation and live transcription. So we know that there's a lot of people where English is a second language, and so therefore they can feel included by having live translation services on their Zoom call. So with regards to that, I'm going to take a pause. That was quite a long-winded answer. But I want to turn to you, Nicki, because obviously, again, we've heard about a couple of elements. Obviously, the need to embrace our employees, ensure we give them an environment to thrive. But I want to map that with what we've heard globally around the great resignation. How are you ensuring that you're providing a work environment where they can thrive, but also using that to retain talent and attract staff as you go to market?
Yeah, it's really big for us right now. We're not immune to the great resignation or the great reevaluation. One of the things that we've recently done, we just launched our new 4-year strategy across our business. So here locally in Australia, we're aiming to be a $1 billion organisation by 2025 and treat 1 million patients per year. And in order to do that, we need to have the best people strategy to support that. So our people strategy is all around creating a culture that unites our people to bring their best and to be their best. And as part of that, we have a section which is called Focus on You. And that's all around people as we grow and become a bigger organisation, still feeling like they're seen. And so with that, we've got a couple of things that we do. One is, of course, around workplace flexibility. Like you, we're not imposing any sort of mandate in which people need to be back in the office a certain number of days per week. It's very much about what does each and every individual need in order to thrive, and being a little bit more creative in terms of how and where roles can be done. We also care, and we're embracing and doing a lot more in the DE&I space, and we've heard a lot about that already this morning. So I won't touch too much on that, but we've got a number of different employee resource groups and places, I think, for people to, very much, like we have a philosophy, it's like be you, be seen, belong, and that's very important to us. And then we also are doing a lot more around well-being. So I'm so excited to hear more about today in terms of different initiatives that we could take on board to really add to what we already do. One of the simple things that we did last year, which is it went down a treat, was we introduced what we called Recharge Day. And that was just another day off, a paid day off for each employee. And the whole purpose was, this is for you to reset and take some time off and, to recharge. And it was simple, but the effect that had on people to show them just how much, their well-being was at the top of everyone's agenda, it went, ran a really long way. So there's a couple of the things that we're doing. I know we're nearly out of time. Any other thoughts on this topic?
I've got to share with the audience. Nicki said, how are we going to talk for 15 minutes on this topic? And we've got red lights flashing at us. I don't know whether I've been too verbose or whether that's just naturally a conversation
it went really
that's
quickly,
moving.
so there you go.
But I think, look, our time has wrapped up, so thank you. I hope we shared a little bit of insight in regards to the role that technology can play, the role that organisations are playing in ensuring they provide an environment for their employees to thrive. I could probably talk all day for this, and you can come grab me at the Speakers Lounge afterwards if you've got any questions.
Excellent.
Thank you.